So here's a look through the Mg6. As you can see, it's a 2015 model Dti diesel. When I was purchasing this car, there wasn't much technical information about it. A lot of minor stuff, but nothing really from a technical point of view. So I'll just give you a rundown. A lot of stuff seems to be interchanged with the 75. For example, the brakes is all 75. Can be all picked up. I'm not too sure about the handbrake shoes. They seem to be slightly different, but everything else seems to be the same. So the front is a 284mm disc, which I believe is exactly the same, and can be used probably the BM setup as well. Front end wise looks nearly exactly the same to 75, same design. Hubs look like they've been changed slightly, and lower arms have been redesigned, probably for different geometry or whatever like that. But as you can see, same arm design, rear bush, and ball joint with a bolt. Struts and anti-roll bar look nearly identical. Drivetrain wise, again, it looks very similar. Drive shafts look very similar as well. You have your middle carrier bearing, same setup as the diesel 75s. And the main difference would be the subframe is very similar. Front subframe is very similar. All the mounts look nearly identical, including steering rack. And only difference would be you've got a front engine mount as well as a rear. I'm guessing they've done this because the rear couldn't cope with the 75, so they've strengthened it up with two. As you can see up here is the DPF. DPF's up in here, and you've got your standard exhaust setup, same as the 75. The main difference would be the rear end. The rear end has been completely changed. The subframe is completely different. Completely different design. So you've still got lower and upper arms, but hub mountings is completely different. Strut mountings is different. Spring location is pretty much the same. Tank is quite similar as well, and your handbrake cables come down through. Anti-roll bars completely different, and you've got you've got drop links onto the trailing arms instead of the rear arms. The trailing arm mounts are completely different as well. Far better design, and there's a lot more plastic covering for I'm guessing for aerodynamics and stuff like that. Lots of covers at the rear end. Yeah, other than that, I'd say it's quite easy to work on. I've just serviced the car and replaced all the brakes, as you can see. The only main issue is the fuel filter. Fuel filter is a bit of a pain to get at. It's actually down below the battery box. That's in there. You have to remove the battery, ECU, all the casings on the right hand side to get out the fuel filter, to get it out. The fuel filter has about 2 or 3 sensors in it, which you need to unplug as well. Oil filter is a wee bit tricky, but it can be accessed from the rear of the engine. And the pollen filter as well. Pollen filter is in front of the windscreen. You have to take off the lower windscreen plastic cover, and it's down in there. It seems to be something that dealers don't bother changing, as you can see from mine. That's my pollen filter there. So you can see it's hard to see in camera, but it is quite dirty. It's something they don't change. Other than that, everything is different radiator wise. They've gone to proper metal metal supports for the radiator and intercooler setup. Intercooler is quite small, and as you can see, everything else is pretty much similar. So that's just a quick rundown on the diesel Mg6. If you have any questions, please ask, and I'll try and cover them. Alright, thanks.